Welcome to the COMC High School Football Coaches Show, of course, presented by the great folks at Central Ozarks Medical Center, where your health is their mission. Also brought to you by MoDOT, Save Mo Lives, Slumberland Furniture, Slumberland at the Lake, Price and Randall Injury Attorneys, and Lake Expo Real Estate, lakeexpo.com. We're here with the man, the myth, the legend. You're becoming more of a legend every week there, Coach. Coach Shannon Jolley, the Osage Indians. You come off one of the most exciting wins that I can remember in a long time. Can you remember a more exciting game than that?
No, I haven't been involved, especially one with a walk-off field goal. I've never, in 30-some years, haven't been involved in that. So, it's what it is.
Wow.
We'll celebrate now, but it's a little stressful Friday night.
Yeah. So you find yourself down 21-0 at halftime, I think, is what I saw. How did you turn things around? How did you come back and win this thing?
Really, it wasn't. I mean, if I had $1 every time I was asked that this weekend, it's just really telling the kids the truth. Like, hey, when you keep score, it actually does represent who you are.
Yeah.
And I think people, well, that's not really who our team is. No, it's exactly who you are. You're a 21-point losing team. And so I think people kind of twist that a little bit. So I told them at halftime, you've got a couple choices here. Like, we can fight our way out of this and not limp into next week and see what we can do and get better, or we can, just ride off in the sunset and then everybody be miserable for the next 7 days. And that was really the message. There was a few things that we had to adjust to, but we didn't have real good play in the first half. So talking about those, and then you know what? It's just about the kids have invested enough in this program, and it was obvious in the second half that it meant more to them than that.
Yeah. We've got an incredible game this Friday night right here on Lake TV. You guys, the Osage Indians, ranked in the top 10 against the defending state champions from Blair Oaks. Huge, huge battle, and we'll have more on that coming up. But I just wanted to remind you that game is on Lake TV Friday night. But back to that win last week. The sideline celebration was something special after that field goal went through.
Well, yeah, we're always talking, trying to be ahead. And when we talked about before the kick, before he called a couple timeouts, of just trying to, hey, when the kick goes through, let's get back to the sideline and celebrate with your teammates and represent yourself well, and then get to the 50-yard line and be respectful and appreciate the win. So there's kind of a plan for everything. That's something we talked about before. But watching the coaches and stuff, it's unbelievably fulfilling for me to know that, to be a small part of that, let that happening. And it's cool to see people spontaneously just laugh and celebrate and be happy for, a short amount of time. But on the other side of the ball was, the other team. So it could have went either way.
You do have the both sides of it. What were you most proud of Friday night? What made you the most proud as Coach Jolley?
I tell you, some of our players, and I'm not going to get into naming them, but some of them became vocal, and some of them were like, hey, we got this, or hey, we're going to do this, instead of like just, hey, they weren't going to wait and see what happened. It was like, hey, I'm going to do my part to try to make things happen. There's a different thing about this team, and I'm telling you, they've got relationships with each other. They're not just teammates. They have relationships with each other, and they take the good and the bad with each other, because that's what relationships are about. So I think you're seeing that a little bit this year, not just in this game, but the kids at practice and stuff. There's just a different vibe about this team, and it's a lot of fun to be around.
Yeah, but it doesn't just happen. It is not a mistake. That's something you've built in this program, and you can see it in spades coming through right now. So this Friday night, huge matchup, maybe the biggest game of the year, regular season. Osage and Blair Oaks, a couple of top 10 teams, two of the best teams in the state right here on Lake TV. So we'll talk about that when we come back on the COMC High School Football Coaches Show. At COMC, your health is our mission. Central Ozarks Medical Center offers 3 OBGYNs at the Osage Beach Clinic and 2 pediatricians with same-day appointments available. At COMC, our doors are open to everyone with 5 primary care locations conveniently located across the Ozarks. COMC for the best medical, dental, and behavioral health care. Get more info on how COMC can help you at centralozarks.org. COMC, where your health is our mission.
Competing on the field requires hard work.
It also requires effort and making good choices, which carries over off the field.
Like good choices behind the wheel of your car. Did you know that a driver is 20 times more likely to be in a serious accident if texting and driving?
Last year alone, 104 people were killed in Missouri from distracted driving.
So keep leading the statistics. Don't become one.
Buckle up, phones down. This Drive Safe, Boat Safe reminder brought to you by Price & Randall Injury Attorneys.
Welcome back to the COMC High School Football Coaches Show. So you have to put that incredible win from last week in the past. You pull off a miracle comeback on a game-winning field goal at the buzzer. Now, this week, maybe your toughest matchup of the year, the defending state champions from Blair Oaks, perennial state power, perennial conference champion, and you're knocking on the door. You're the big challenger now. This ought to be a pretty interesting game Friday night.
Yeah, I think we've tried to keep things in perspective because we've been here before. You know, what I mean is we get into that week 3 matchup with Blair Oaks, and whether we're 2-0 or 1-1, and the years that we've been pretty good, you know, there's this hype that goes along with this game. But what it really is a week 3 contest with one of the best opponents that we'll face all year. Mm-hmm. And, you know, with Blair Oaks moving out of our district and dropping down to Class 2, it's a conference rival and a conference game, but we look at it as a privilege because playing a team like this is going to make you better. And we had a talk after last year's loss, like we will get better after this game. And it's just imperative that our coaches know and our players know that we're going to sell out, and this one's going to be different. I'm not predicting any outcomes, but I can tell you, as far as I'm concerned, this one's going to be different for me. And what I mean is, at the end of the night, Friday night, we have to be better. And it may not be in all facets, but it needs to be in some, because our goal is to get into the state playoffs and have an opportunity to play towards the state championship. And fortunate for us, we have Blair Oaks on our schedule week 3 because they are outstanding. They have great coaches and great players, and we're looking forward to it.
There is a lot of respect between the two programs, Osage and Blair Oaks, so much so that you got together with the Blair Oaks and their coach, and you did some scrimmaging and stuff in the off season. That was a pretty unique thing, a very respectful thing for both programs to be able to do.
Yeah, and coaches do this. It's not anything, you know, out of the ordinary to go and visit in the summer and stuff, but a lot of respect for Coach LePage. I just called him and said, hey, can we come up? And, you know, basically it's like you guys are the best, and we're trying to get there. And playing 7-on-7 or any team activities with a team like Blair Oaks in the summer, it has to make you better. And they obliged, and I think they were shorthanded in some of the ways, but they still were gracious enough to let us come up there. And you know, I've got a lot of respect for Coach LePage and what he's done, and got friends on their staff. And it was cool for us to go up there and be involved with them.
Absolutely. What is going to be the key Friday night? The game right here on Lake TV, pregame at 6:30, kickoff at 7. To beat a team like Blair Oaks, which doesn't happen very often, what do you have to do to beat a team like that?
I think you have to be careful and not be looking for big chunk plays on offense. I think you've got to understand that every single play is going to be a grind, you know, to get those 3 or 4 yards, and those are wins, where sometimes everybody wants the big play. That type of mentality, because they're really good, and everything is going to be a challenge. And then the same thing on defense is try not to give up those big chunk plays from them and allow them to create that type of momentum. But again, I mean, there's not very many flaws in their football program, and it's going to take the perfect setting and the controllables that we have control over. We have to make sure that we have a grasp on those this week.
All right, so be sure to tune in Friday night as Osage takes on Blair Oaks right here on Lake TV. Coming up next, we'll travel over to Camdenton, talk with Coach Parr about their big game on the road against Smith Cotton.
Lake life starts here. At Lake Expo Real Estate, we know that buying or selling a lakefront property is more than just a transaction. It's the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter that we strive to make easy, from listing to closing. In a competitive market, we showcase your property to the masses online with LakeExpo.com, returning unmatched visibility. And if you're ready to buy that lake house, our team lives and breathes the lake lifestyle, so we know what this chapter is all about. At Lake Expo Real Estate, we believe in community, cherishing those lasting memories, and helping make your lake dream a reality. Check us out online to find lake properties. No logins, no distractions, just pure, unfiltered lake views and options. Lake Expo Real Estate, where we are ready to be a part of your next chapter.
And welcome back to the COMC High School Football Coaches Show. Of course, brought to you by the great folks at Central Ozarks Medical Center. Talking here with Coach Parr Pitts, Camdenton Lakers. Coach, you coming off a tough game Friday night. You ran into a really good Branson team.
Yeah, we knew that they were going to be a really physical team, you know, and they did a good job of really playing hard on the offensive, defensive line. You know, it was a really good team and sort of a tough night for us.
Yeah, your defense played pretty well in this one, especially early, kind of kept you in that game. It got away a little bit late, but the defense, what strong points have you seen from the defense after the first couple games?
I felt like our defensive line played really well for much of the game. Paul Muff, Andy Diaz, Jack Charlton, Levi Perk, those guys really stepped up, played low, controlled the line of scrimmage, and our linebackers flowed the way they needed to flow.
Yeah, that's good. And then on the offensive side of the board, after 2 games, what are the positives you're seeing on offense?
Well, our first drive took up the whole first quarter, and so that
the
was
whole quarter,
you know,
right? All 12 minutes.
That's ball control in probably the highest form you can do. And so we were able to run the football effectively. You know, there were times that we got behind the chains for several different reasons, penalties or, you know, negative yardage play. You know, I felt like that for much of the game, we were able to do what we wanted to do.
Yeah, a lot of youth on this team. That's a good thing and a bad thing. It's tough because you got some younger kids that you're trying to teach and mature a little bit. It's good because the future is probably strong and bright for you because you got these kids coming back. How are the younger players playing for you to this point?
You know, they're playing their hearts out, and that's what we want from them. The guys, and young can be age, can be experience as well. So guys are getting in there, doing what they're asked to do as hard as they can do it, and just getting more used to the speed of a varsity football game. A Friday night is different than a freshman game or a JV game, but they're giving great effort, getting better each week. And, you know, I felt like we did improve, even though the score was a little bit more lopsided this week, but I felt like that we improved for sure from week 1 to week 2.
And it's got to make you feel good for the future. If you've got this many young guys that are progressing and coming along, you know that the next few years might be a pretty good harbinger of things to come.
Yeah, it's good to get young guys experience. You want to do that in a successful, you know, you'd like to be successful on the scoreboard too, but, you know, experience is, you know, football is all about experiences. You
Absolutely.
know, going through adversity, all the things you have to go through in football.
So this week, your first road game of the year, as you travel to Smith Cotton, does it make it difficult, that first road game, just to get used to the travel, or is it just kind of business as usual?
Well, I think each time you travel, especially when you have some youth or inexperience, you're going to have to do some planning ahead of time, make sure you have all your equipment and everything's in order and those things. Because sometimes it's, you know, when you get that excitement level, sometimes you forget, I might forget my knee pad or whatever. So we want to get organized, get focused, and then get on the road and go play. Once you get to the place, it's much like whenever you're at home or anywhere else. And we've taken one trip in our jamboree, so that gave us a little bit of insight on how to handle it.
Yeah, we'll try to get rid of this fly as we move along. We'll talk about the battle Friday night on the road at Smith Cotton when we come back on the COMC High School Football Coaches Show.
What's like and follow?
Phones are very distracting. Which is why Missouri now has a law against holding a phone while driving.
Dude, what are you doing? You can't hold your phone while driving.
Yeah, that's illegal.
Buckle up.
Hey everybody, it's Daryl Cunningham with Slumberland Furniture at the Lake. Labor Day weekend might be over, but the Labor Day sale still goes on here at Slumberland. Take advantage of great deals, awesome financing. Don't forget, we deliver the entire lake area. That's right, deals for every room of the house. So come see us at Slumberland Furniture, where we're bringing happy home.
Welcome back to the COMC High School Football Coaches Show. Camdenton Lakers coach Parr Pitts, we're here on the practice field. And coach, first road game of the season this week, you go to Smith Cotton. The Smith Cotton team has not been notoriously very good over the years, although this year they look better. I mean, they beat a really good Warrenton program this season. Yeah, it's the second year we've got to see them, and they're getting better. They were better, more physical than they were last year. They won week 1 against Warrensburg, and Warrensburg was a playoff team last year. So we know that they're going to continue to improve, really aggressive on defense. And then offense, they've got some skill guys that are very dangerous. Okay, so let's talk about that. Your defense going into this one, what are they going to have to do against Smith Cotton to shut them down, be effective? Well, we're going to have to, much like we have in the first 2 weeks, we got to be really consistent up front, controlling the line of scrimmage, doing our job. Linebackers have got to be able to not only get into the run game, but they like to throw it a little bit more than Branson did for sure. So we're going to have to be able to get pressure with our front guys and then be able to get a little bit of help in coverage with our linebackers. Right. Okay. And then let's flip over to the other side of the ball. The offense, as you mentioned, did a pretty good job last week against a really good Branson team with ball control. One drive took up a whole quarter, which was, you don't see that very often. What would you like to see from the offense this week against Smith Cotton? Well, I think it's that consistent play, consistent communication, and then pad level just continue to improve up front. We got to be lower than the guys that we are blocking. We got to be able to stretch the field a little bit in our play action passing game. I know that we have some threats there. We've got some guys that can really get down the field. Week 1 we did a really good job of that. We didn't get past them this past week, but we got to be able to stretch the field a little bit and be able to run the ball between the tackles. Do you feel like your opportunities are there and you just haven't been able to click at the right time on offense, or do you really need to pick things up and come along? Well, we haven't scored very many points, so I know we have to be better. We have to score more. We're going to. We just have to continue to find ways to get guys that are dynamic, the ball in space, get those creases inside in the run game, and then it kind of will snowball from there. Yeah. So you're a coach. So when you're watching football, first of all, what's your favorite sport to watch? Is it football, or is there another sport? That's where I spend all my time, really. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So when you're watching football, do you watch as a coach? Are you picking up plays and movements and different things like that? Or can you just sit back and enjoy the game and just watch it for fun? Very rarely do you get to enjoy it. I enjoyed the KU-MU game yesterday, and that was great. It's super exciting. Lots of good play and lots of back and forth lead changes. So I watch a little college football. I don't watch much professional football, but I watch a lot of high school football in terms of like the teams we're playing and ourselves. And so we spend a ton of time on that. How many hours a week would you think that you are watching game film, like of watching your team from last week? What did we do right? What did we do wrong? And previewing the team you've got coming up and watching their game film. About how many hours do you of that is there? It's 15 to 20 hours in a 7-day period. Yeah. You're looking at it, writing it down. You're doing something where you're analyzing what you're doing or what the other team's doing. Do you enjoy that? Oh yeah. Do you? I think it would be too much if you didn't, because you're dedicating a lot of time. And so one of the things is they've got this huddle has changed in the last 10, 15 years. Yeah. You can do it at your house. Used to be you had to come to the office and put the tape in and watch it on the TV there. So now you can watch it, almost anywhere you have your computer and internet. That makes it a lot easier. Yeah. So that is your COMC High School Football Coaches Show, presented by the great folks at Central Ozarks Medical Center, brought to you by MoDOT, Save Mo Lives, Slumberland Furniture, Slumberland at the Lake, Price and Randall, injury attorneys in Lake Expo Real Estate, lakeexpo.com.